Hello and welcome to the History of the Picts podcast, episode 13. Bye bye, Pictavia. This title wasn't, it wasn't a outright one. It had some contenders such as Pictavia has fallen, uh, picked, picked your battle, out with a bang then a whimper, and tall blonde men dominate bog maxers. This is the last narrative episode of the Picts. It's not the last episode, but this means anything afterwards is us running this into the ground. The next two episodes will be about the Kingdom of Alba, and then, well, we'll see.
Yeah, so it's over, boys. After the death of Ongius, son of Fergus, R.I.P. guys, the goat.
Actually, R.I.P. King Kong.
Yeah. In 761, the Pictish overkingship passed to his brother Brud, because naming in Pictavia is 4 names. Within 2 years, Brud died and was succeeded by Synod, son of Feradak. The new king's father was a Scot from Dalriada, the brother of Dungal of Canel Lorne, who had fought against Angus 40 years earlier. Both brothers had been captured by the Picts in 756 and put in chains.
Dungal was presumably executed, but Feradak was brought back to Pictavia as a high-status hostage. At some point during this captivity, he sired a son to a Pictish princess. Synod, the offspring of this union, was therefore a half-Pict with Canel Lorraine blood in his vein. It is unlikely that his mother was a sister of Oengus and Brud. Under a new system of matrilineal succession, under a system, where did I get new? I saw nephew. I was so confused. I was reading that earlier and I thought, yeah, under a system, that makes sense. I read that line earlier. Under a system which has been here for a very long time and is not whatsoever new of matrilineal succession, this would have made Synod the nephew, sister son of 2 previous kings, and therefore a legitimate heir.
Yeah, so we're now getting half Scot, half Picts in the kingship
reign. It's already spelling the end.
The hard-won sovereignty obtained by Angus over the Scots evaporated in the following years of his death. In 768, an army led by Aed the White, king of Kenil and Gibren, and an overking of Dalriada, advanced into Fortriu to fight a battle of Synod. Aed Find, I'll call him Aed, had gained the kingship of Kenil and Gibren during a period of Pictish supremacy and had ruled initially as a tribute-paid client. With Angus now gone, he was now free to offload the burden of this tribute payment and pursue his own political ambitions. A show military force in the heartlands of the Pictavian people was a good way to assert any sort of independence movement.
Even the dogs are going crazy about this fall.
Even the dogs are crying down there. Let me go aside. Right, no, okay, the dog's dead now. Come on, I'm getting on. The campaign signalled the resurgence of the Scots and marked a turning point in the fortunes of Kenil and Gibren. Although it brought Aed no permanent territorial gains in the east of Drumalbin, it dented Pictish hopes of restoring the supremacy won by Angus. After 768, the sources show no more outbreaks of hostility between east and west until the middle of the next century, when an alleged descendant of Aed claimed the overkingship of the Pictavians. I can say that, yeah? Pictavians?
Yes, I would say so.
I guess I could say Pictavians. Coined the new term.
Sounds a bit Roman, doesn't it?
Yeah, coined the new term, actually. Well, Pictavia is Latin, isn't it?
Yeah, there you go. Synod died in 775 and was succeeded by 2 obscure kings whose reigns were totally uneventful. A period of uncertainty ensued, and by 780 the overkingship was lost in a new outbreak of dynastic strife between the Pictish royal families, because of course it was. The situation demanded a strong individual, a figure in the mould of Oengus, King Vaughan, who could reunite the competing factions. No such figure emerged, so the Picts, divided into, or perhaps reverted to, partitioned hegemony, ruled separately by 2 overkings. The provinces, or sub-kingdoms, north of the Mount were ruled by Talakan, because, of course, son of Drosten, while southern Pictavia acknowledged the claim of another, and you guessed it, Talakan, a son of Oengus, who bore the curious name Dub Thalorc, Black Talric. No points for guessing what that's for. The dynastic upheavals of this time were so acute that the system of matrilineal succession was severely disrupted, thereby allowing Black Talric to claim the overkingship. As the son of a previous overking, you should obviously, if you've been listening at all, unlike me 20 minutes ago, he should not have been eligible under the rules of matrilineal. That is a tongue twister.
Machiavelli?
The same can be said of his son Drust, I hate that name, who succeeded him in 782. Within the next few years, however, the divisions between the royal dynasties of North and South were healed, and the unity of Pictavia was restored under the rule of a single paramount sovereign. And that's how it ended, and Pictavia went on forever, happily ever after. Anyway, this was either Drust himself or his successor, whom the Pictish king list wrongly identifies as Dalriadan prince called Canal, son of Tadger. I have no idea how you pronounce that.
Taj. Yeah,
Taj, Tag, something like that. The presence of a Scot in this part of the list is an error, perhaps a deliberate one on the part of the compiler. By inserting Connell's name at this point, the compiler hoped to give an impression of close links between East and West in the late 8th century. In reality, Drew's successor as Overking of Pictavia was Constantine, son of Fergus, who, like Drust himself, was a grandson of the mighty Oengus. Neither of these men would have been eligible to rule if the matrilineal system had remained intact.
Yeah, and so the Scots didn't have this kind of thing, so it does suggest that maybe there's some sort of bleeding into the culture already. But see, for me, the two Talrics, son of Drosten and Drust, is it Drosten, yeah? So son of Ongus and son of Drosten. Black Talric. How long until like they discovered, oh, it's the same guy? And not to be any confused for anyone, this doesn't mean Black Talric was black. The naming of the nickname is Irish with Dub Falric, and Dub is the same as like black, like dark, not like it could mean black hair. It could mean like the Black Douglas, as being like dark water and that. It could just mean he's like a really evil guy, which for the Picts.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like a prerequisite of a Pictish king.
Yeah, the Pictish king is called the Black, so but I don't know what this guy must have done to deserve such a name.
Especially when considering Wingus never ended with anything like that, who was actually like must have been the Scottish boogeyman.
I'm surprised that he wasn't called like Ongus the Great.
Okay, well, we're coining it. We're about
King Ongus the Great.
King Ongus the Great with first Pictish national movement, and it's
no, but it is the Great. Like what he
British guy is actually goated.
He's probably one of the greatest kings in Scottish history. Like,
I swear, if Pictavia didn't basically immediately collapse after his death, he would get some sort of recognition.
Yeah, it's like, see, if they had more records, he'd be like on par with Bruce in terms of like this guy's been the GOAT.
Aye, because I don't have like another Scottish general that actually just dog walked everyone in every major engagement they faced.
Yeah. Also, if you're confused by why a Pict's called Constantine, remember how a lot of these names in Pictavia is like royal names. So naming your son like Constantine would be like, I just thought it was a nice name. You know, the king shit. Oh, well, he's called Constantine. He's like royal name, kind of. May as well let him do it. It's like I'm not smooth with it. Just name him the king at that point.
Yeah, pretty much.
Conall, son of Taj, was not Constantine's predecessor in the Pictish overkingship, but his enemy in war. In 789, the armies of two men fought a battle from which Conall narrowly escaped alive after suffering and made defeat at the hands of Constantine. Pretty much this means he's dead anyway. The Irish annalists thought that this battle was fought between two Pictish factions, of which one was led by Conall, despite the likelihood that he was a Scot. To some historians, the idea of Conall being a Pict fits neatly with anonymity in the sources, namely Constantine's appearance in the Dalriadan as well as the Pictish king list. This has often been seen as an indication that he ruled the Scots and Picts simultaneously. From this viewpoint, Constantine's clash with Conall could be seen as consistent with his involvement in the dynastic politics of both peoples. The interpretation of the data looks doubtful, and it's not the only one alive or available, but both Constantine and Kirill may have been Picts in their war bands. May have had Picts in their war bands at the Battle of 789, but the former's presence in the Dalriadan King list is enormous. What's that?
Erroneous.
Erroneous as Connell's appearance in the Pictish counterpart. The two other kingdoms would indeed be joined together under one monarch in the following century, but not perhaps as early as the closing years of the 8th. In the late 8th century, the Scots were trying to resist a renewal of Pictish dominance, posed by Angus in the 730s, and in the person of Constantine, son of Fergus, they faced a similarly formidable adversary.
Constantine reigned for more than 30 years until his death in 820. Oh, we're getting so close. He bore an unusual name that was especially rare within a northern context. Its use among royal families had previously been confined to Dumnonia, a territory encompassing Devon and Cornwall. Wow, those are two places. After the Roman period, this kingdom passed under the rule of native Britons who held it for more than 400 years against inexorable Anglo-Saxon pressure. Two Dumnonian kings bore the name Constantine in homage to the memory of Constantine the Great, who vanquished his rivals to become the first Christian emperor of Rome. I wonder who put that in the script. During the early 8th century, the early 8th century, the name was also borne by a pope and by a Byzantine emperor, who we don't need to explain too deeply. um. Oh, how do I put this concisely? Beef, a lot of beef there, a lot of beef. The name therefore had strong associations with martial prowess, imperial authority, and Christian piety, all which, as you can imagine, would appeal to anyone who is not one of the most preeminent powers in the world.
I'm with my son, Constantine.
We're bringing it back. We're bringing it back.
There must be one.
No, there's got to be a few. Bestowing it upon a child who was destined to be a candidate for the overkingship of Pictavia was a very blatant political act on the part of his family, who clearly hoped for great things to come, and, to their credit, paid off.
Yeah, it's kind of like all in black. Like, all I know in black, let's go.
Fort Viot's position in a low-lying terrain places it in sharp contrast to the hill forts of the 6th and 7th centuries. Strongholds such as Dundurn and Dunad were built on imposing rocky outcrops from whose summits they could frown down on a landscape that they physically dominated. The lofty heights of these places obviously symbolised the high status of their occupants and bestowed an aura of supremacy.
I know you laugh.
The military aspects. The military aspect of hill sports is like, I mean, it can be any more obvious to anyone, but their natural defensive capabilities were further enhanced by the addition of stone ramparts. In contrast, the royal residence at Fort Viot presents an altogether different character. It was not located on a site, conducive for defence, and it would not have survived or sustained an assault. Instead, it looks like an abode for people who wanted to dwell in a comfortable setting among green pastures rather than a windswept fortress on top of a craggy hill. The hill forts of the early historic period often succeeded much older strongholds, which gave them sort of an air of ancestral authority.
Yeah, I'm going to yap a little bit about the hill forts. From what we've learned about the Anglo-Saxons, which might also indicate how the Picts and Scots fought as well, is that they preferred to fight pitched battles and didn't really do sieges. They didn't really know how to you didn't have to fight a siege. So their issue was when the Normans came, who liked building, this kind of building that you couldn't really just run into if you really wanted into it. It created an issue with they didn't really know how to combat that. So every revolt the Saxons did just always failed because they couldn't get enough support and then break into the castles. So it could indicate also with the Picts, because since these royal areas are really easy to break into, you couldn't really break in and assassinate the other king for your own claim because they would have seen that as like cowardly probably. And it just kind of the way they build their defensive areas kind of shows you how they fight as a people. It was really weak buildings to defend themselves. It kind of shows they are like King Von, fight on the streets kind of things. Don't hunker down for a siege. The absence the absence, fuck me, man. The absence of this kind of aura at a newly built site such as the Palace of Fortru means that residents had to look elsewhere for useful links of ancient power. This is why the palace was deliberately located next to an impressive ritual landscape of prehistoric heads and barrows, whose connection with powerful ancestors could not be questioned. The new centre of Pictish royalty thus received a stamp of legitimacy and a suitable width of antiquity from its proximity to these ancient monuments of the past and of their ancestors. Its main function was unlikely to have been any permanent residence for Constantine, as we've covered that the kings kind of move about to cement their rule, but rather as just one good place that he may have favoured with him and his goons. The nature of early kingship required the king to provide a temporary housing for his, royal peoples to follow him, and his war band, which some slept in the halls. But that would be much better than the houses, probably, most likely. The probably mud huts they lived in. Would have been facts. Well, would they have picked like lived in mud huts?
I
Some
mean,
would
for
have,
all
yeah.
intents and purposes, just to annoy people from the northeast, I'm going to say absolutely, and that they still do.
Yeah.
In the final decade of the 8th century, a new people arrived on the shores of Britain. A people who Picts and Scots will soon never forget. The Vikings, of course, were destined to have a profound effect on the shaping of medieval Scotland. They were hailed from the fjords and coasts of Scandinavia and were the best sailors of their age. And I'm sure I can't wait for all of them to have their arguments between the Swedes and the Norwegians. And oh my God, we was the best at doing the epic rape
And then
and
some guy from the
pillage.
Isle of Fiji goes, "No, we were the best at this time. We were the best."
I mean, hey, I mean, they got
They were
around
really
the
good,
Pacific
yeah.
Ocean, so although I suppose the Vikings also end up in Canada, so I mean,
Yeah.
anyway, the attacks on Britain were first
What's the better
noticed by
feat?
contemporary chroniclers when a raiding party attacked the much previously mentioned on this Northumbrian monastery on Lindisfarne in 793. These raiders were Northmen, natives of Norway. What a creative name, by the way. And they had absolutely no interest in the sanctity of Christian churches. They were pagans who worshipped their own gods, and their targets in the early phase of raiding were exposed sites isolated from the mainland. And it was not long before they turned their attention to the islands of Argyll. And sort of, it's kind of funny to me. You can imagine you're this pagan, right? And the idea of raiding in the first place to another country's been sold to you, and like you genuinely must have thought these guys were scamming you. Yeah, there's just these little buildings with no protection, and they've just got lots of gold and silver in them. You're like, yeah, okay, sure, fart and beard,
It
okay,
probably really
okay,
spoke to
yeah.
them how they thought, well, they probably keep really confused. Oh, they must have a god of peace because our gods, like, don't really protect anyone in particular. It's, well, apart from maybe, like, witches, I think, from what I learned of Norwegian, like, Norse mythology, it's like, if you kill a
Mythology's
witch,
all one big lot.
yeah, if you kill a witch, there's a chance you could be cursed. But you kill one priest and you get excommunicated from everyone. Not a priest, a guy called John Common.
Moving on. In 795, Irish annals noted the plundering of Irish monasteries, and in the same year, the heathen. Hello, welcome to the history of the, the propaganda. The Vikings
They are
attacked the
heathen. No,
heart
they
of
are
Celtic
heathens.
Christianity
No,
on
they are
Ireland.
heathens.
That's in house though. This is in. We use the we're being
We're in business.
Viking
Okay, sorry.
PC.
Yeah, we're in business here. No, but they are heathen. That's definition of what they are. You're
Yeah,
also a
well,
heathen.
you know. Yeah, exactly. So why would I go around calling them heathens?
History of the propaganda podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Attacked the heart of Celtic Christianity on Iona. Although I find this quite ironic that there's a big deal being made about this, as a certain somebody done this earlier in the podcast, and there was a bit of a hullabaloo about it.
Yeah. The Scots literally raided a church on an island and
Yeah,
kidnapped the Pictish prince.
yeah.
But when they do it,
Yeah. But when the Vikings do it, suddenly you're a heathen.
corruption. No. But the Raiders would have still been Christian. They're not heathens. They're just no. Actually, see, can you imagine being like a Viking like warband leader and like you get like a letter from the Pope going like you're getting excommunicated? It's like wow,
Dude,
that's just nothing to
wow.
me.
They probably couldn't even read it. It'd been Latin or some nonsense.
Yeah.
Like Lindisfarne, and other island monasteries, Iona was extremely vulnerable, having no defence and no protection. Such places were, to put it in a modern term, gold scars, or sitting ducks to the Vikings. Precious objects of gold and silver, together with livestock and foodstuffs, offered the easiest of pickings for shiploads of Viking marauders. The unarmed monks and nuns could offer little resistance against iron swords and axes. Those who did not escape to safety were borne away in longships to be sold as slaves. Which, interestingly enough, these slave traders would come from like everywhere and anywhere, as far as
Yeah,
sort of the
yeah,
North
they
African
sold
coast.
trades to like Andalusian at the time, didn't they? Like the
Yeah, they would end up in the North African coast. I mean, I saw this in an episode of Vikings, so forgive me. I think there would be sometimes Asians from the Silk Road, although I think I'm thinking of the Rus episode. This is entirely ahistorical, and I've just totally rug pulled
I'm
any
not gonna
credit that
yeah,
someone
I'm
who
not gonna
speaks about
lie.
history.
The Silk Road slave trade would have been people from like Eastern Europe and that. Not
Yeah, I suppose
normally
yeah, but Vikings did trade that way, I
yeah, but
suppose.
normally slaves from Britain would have went to like Iceland or like sold in Spain or that.
Yeah.
Imagine being dragged off from like some bog in Aberdeen and you get dragged off to like Ottoman Turkey. Well, I know this was not the Ottomans, but you dragged it to like Umayyad, like Palestine
Africa.
or something like that. Yeah,
Could you
Africa.
imagine being in like Egypt?
You die
Like,
of
could you imagine
disease
seeing a
instantly.
city? You'd be if you managed to survive that, that would be crazy. Could you
They
imagine seeing
probably
somewhere what is it, like Cairo or Alexandria? Alexandria is the well, I don't know what it's called now, but Alexandria,
still
it might
it's
still
not
be
still
that.
a thing. Yeah, it's still a thing.
Yeah, Alex. Imagine seeing a city like Alexandria as somebody who's used to like such a miserable place like Scotland.
Yeah, imagine like the biggest
Like
building
the scale,
the biggest building you saw was a hill fort in like Fortrue, and you get dragged all the way to Constantinople.
like the scale must have been mind blowing.
Yeah, and the guy goes, "So where's the bugs? Where do you sleep at night? Where's the bugs?" The first ginger
So
guy to die of like heat stroke.
mate, to be fair, he would have died a long time before they got to
Yeah,
Constantinople in that case.
yeah, but look, but people had seen no, I seen this on a TV show as well, but the Vikings a movie. A lot of
Talk about
the
the history of being historical.
a lot of in this they say that a lot of the Christian slaves in Iceland were Scottish, like had Scottish
Oh, right.
accents, which I thought to myself, then like what are they, the Pictish or the Scots? Um, um, the attacks can I know dogs, I know it's terrible, I know. The
It's hard
attack
to endure.
South the attacks continued for many years, and in 806, the Brethren of Iona were butchered in a single raid. Forgot to mention also, the nuns probably had a worse fate than the monks. If you can
Yeah, at least
imagine,
the monks just died, or
yeah, like slavery had died. The woman, we'll move on, but you can tell that
less savoury.
the Vikings didn't really know what consent was. Uh, with Viking fleets holding masteries of the seaways, pretty much if you're on the water at this time, just don't. There's no point.
It's on site.
It's on site. The Kings of Dalriada could do little in defending their coast because it's not like an army's marching through their land. It's at a random given moment, just an army of maybe a few hundred men would come, kill a village, slaughter, and run away. You can't defend against that. And well, I mean, you can add walls, but like that's for cringe people.
Unpatched method.
Yeah, yeah, you can still do it today. Under the relentless stress of those times, as a dynastic crisis was almost inevitable, and amid confusion of this constant raiding, Constantine of Pictavia installed his own son, Domnall, as over-king of the Scots. How this was
We
achieved?
nearly had it all. We
How,
nearly had it all.
how this was achieved? We don't know, and the sources, for some reason, don't care enough to mention it. It could be military force or just political marriage, but this was significant change in relations between the East and the West.
Sorry, I'm just trying to emotionally recover. Domhnall's reign and Dalriada, while representing some measure of imposed sovereignty by Constantine, was a big step towards unifying the two peoples as a single nation. Gaelic culture and customs had already permeated Pictavia through the influence of the Columban Church, but the process was now given a huge boost. The eastern and western Over kingdoms ruled as respective hegemony. Oh my god, excuse me. They're going crazy. But the process was now given a boost. The eastern and western Over kingdoms, ruled as respective hegemonies by a Pictish father and son, inevitably drew closer together in political matters at the dynastic level, and in social matters at the level of their aristocratic elite. A corresponding increase in communication across Drwm Alban may be envisaged at this time, accompanied by the growth of bilingualism and exchange of two cultural traditions. This undoubtedly began as a two-way process, with influences passing to and from the two realms. After a while, it slowly became increasingly uneven, a one-way movement which led to the slow erosion of Pictish culture and its replacement by a Gaelic counterpart.
Constantine died in 820. R.I.P. Not really done anything, but he was kind of real as fuck. He did some things. He was succeeded by his brother, Angus II, who is credited for the saltire flag during the possible battle with the Northumbrians, when he saw a saltire on the flag in the sky, and he says, "It's a sign from God. St. Andrews is watching us. Why would St. Andrew care about some random battle and in like the Pictavia area?" But
Hey man, Constantine was probably wondering the same thing.
yeah, but this is the guy who's credited for making the flag of Scotland, and he is possibly a Pict. So, well, I think they just seen the saltire flag, and then they may have carved it in their shields, which is this is just Constantine.
Yeah.
Guys, see this amazing idea for a flag. The saltire's been used for a long time though. It was used at Bannockburn. Robert the Bruce
Yep.
had red uniforms with a saltire in the thingy.
Oh,
The
imagine
thingy.
a red saltire. Wow, that'd be pretty cool.
I used that in a Minecraft SMP as the flag of my country. Shout out Kingdom of Ironcrest and Radio SP2. Gone too soon. At that time, the Picts and the Scots were still under the authority of one family because of Domhnall, Constantine's son. Now you may be asking, how's it not over already? Just you wait, it gets worse. Because right now it's a Pictish kind of over king family in charge of the Scots and Picts. Just you wait. 5 minutes from now. Or maybe 2 minutes. Because as how close we are. Gaelic influence of the upper strata of Pictish society continued, its more visible aspect being an artistic tradition which produced new styles of sculpture. In Argyll itself, the ever-present threat of Viking raids created a feeling among the nobility that their homeland was no longer a safe place to be. After 800, the frequency and intensity of these raids increased, despite the scenario of a random opportunistic raiding opportunistic raiding party presented by its sources. It is possible that the Viking warbands had not in fact sailed to Britain as pirate gangs, but as colonialists or settlers, any word you want to use, they are this. Mainland Pictavia, if its North Sea coastline, was conveniently really nice for the Scandinavian fleets of the early 9th century. Orkney and the Shetlands had probably been targeted even earlier, and because they like to fight their own people, they had no support probably, and were just overwhelmed by the mass Vikings. And that produces, still to this day, where they want to leave Scotland because they think they're Norwegian when they're not. Their own language is Scots. Their own language is a version of Scots. Both Constantine and his brother Angus are likely to have defended their homeland against the heat, against the Vikings. Although the ensuing encounters are unrecorded, the death of Angus in 834 preceded that of his nephew Domhnall by 1 year, their demise shaking the political unity of East and West. The Pictish overlordship of Dalriada was then too well established to dissolve completely, and the next paramount king of Scots ruled as a vassal of the Eastern Sovereign. His name was Ed, son of Bonanta?
Boanta?
Boanta? Oh, what a weird name. And his Pictish patron was Drust, son of Constantine, the nephew and successor of Angus II. Will he be able to fight against the Vikings? These two men. This man has the blood of King Von in himself. Can he change the tide of history and defeat the Vikings in battle?
Okay, everybody, get the get the handkerchiefs out, get the tissues out, because it's time. I think. Yep, we're here. Okay. Constantine's reign coincided with the beginning of a renewed Pictish interest in Columba. Iona was beset by Scandinavian raiders, but its founder's memory was making a comeback in the east. In the precious century, the Columban Church had become rejected by Nectan, son of Derisle, and its personnel had been compelled to leave. 100 years later, in a climate of closer cultural links between Picts and Scots, pro-Gaelic trends were again finding favour. The new rapprochement was symbolised by Constantine's patronage of the first church at Dunkeld, a place more commonly associated with the reign of Kenneth, call him Kenneth if you want, MacAlpine, 3 decades later. Or Alpin, that should be. Kenneth was the king who transferred the relics of Columba from Iona to Dunkeld after seizing power in Pictavia during the 840s. He developed a major ecclesiastical centre around Constantine's earlier church, which had itself been deliberately sited at a location of great significance. Dunkeld lay in a strategic setting and had traditional associations with the ancestor of the Picts. Constantine's church, in Kenned's later structure, lay beneath the medieval cathedral beside the wide waters of the River Tay. To the west, where the present town spreads out along the river bank, a prominent hill called King's Seat dominates north-south communications along this part of the valley. Upon this height in prehistoric times stood the fort of the Caledonians, a stronghold of ancient power whose looming presence bestowed great prestige on the Christian settlement below.
Yeah, I kept in this bit about the Tim Clark spoke about the churches and that. It's because it's Dunkeld and it's like this really important place. It's like really important. You may have got like confused by me so I bring up Kenneth MacAlpin. It's because talking about the churches here. And I'm sure Luke thought he was going to talk about the death of the Picts on our podcast. He has to wait 2 more paragraphs.
I know, but I can tell we're getting there. It's already been mentioned. It's already been post-pick mentioned, man.
Yeah.
Well, death's at the door.
Yeah, but this place, Fort of Caledonians, Dunkeld, all these river state, just this important area, and it's but they could just get sidelined. Is it Dunkeld or Dunad? It's Dunkeld and
Yeah, Dunkeld's a super mega important one.
yeah, okay, I'm with Dunad there. So Dunkeld's yeah. Never mind. Sorry, I was in my head. I was like Dunad. I meant Caledonians, Dunad. It can't be the same one. Yeah, Dunkeld's like the. I'm gonna guess what it is. I don't know. It's like it's in it just Dumfries, not Dunfermline.
Yeah, probably something.
It's not Dumfries, that's at the borders.
Yeah, it'll be Dunfermline. But the ex I thought the Caledonians would be pretty cool to go and see.
Basically, this Dunkeld was like the most mega famous important city of Scotland for a long time, and used to be the cap, and you know obviously like used to be the capital before it was changed to Edinburgh. During the second decade of the 9th century, Ceilac, the abbot of Iona, decided to remove Columba's bones to Kells in Ireland, which an enlarged monastery had been built over 10 years between 804 and 814. Kells was selected as the new headquarters of Columban monks because it offered a safer location for the earthly remains of their founding father. Just you wait 20 more years. The decision to abandon Iona was made because of the island's exposed position in the face of continuing Viking raids. Just stop bringing gold there and they'll stop coming. Ceilac approached Constantine to discuss a possible division of the bones. Like it's like a divorce. So like we want that half. You get we'll split it in half.
Oh.
No, you like who gets the skull? No one wants like there's like split in half. It'd be like so someone's getting the ass end of this deal, literally. The ass end of the deal.
Someone's getting like the feet here.
Yeah. This was Columba's coccyx bone. um, Kellogg, so both abbots in King clearly regarded Dunkelly as a suitable place to put a post of these precious relics. Its inland location rendering it less vulnerable to attacks than the offshore site in Argyll. For some reason, however, the division and movement of the bones did not occur in 814 when Kells was completed, nor between then and the death of Constantine in 820. In fact, the respective transfers of relics to Pictavia and Ireland did not take place until 849, and a certain someone was in charge of this, as previously mentioned. If you're an idiot, it's Kenneth McAlpin. This poses something of a mysteria. What am I doing? Mystery for Iona was still being raided by the Vikings until mid 820s, but the sources are silent on the reason for the delay. Do you think the Vikings found these bones and went, why do they love these bones so much?
Yeah, probably so confused.
There's I swear, one place. Okay, I know we don't get into the Catholic Protestant stuff, but when do we say idolatry? When they kept the comb of one of these guys. This is the comb of the saint. This is mega important.
Moving on. Oingus II died in oh dear, tears in my eyes. 834 and was succeeded by his nephew Drust. What a way to go. Who may have shared the Pictish over kingship with a certain Talakan, son of I see what you mean. With Thoil? There's no that Thoil maybe it's just Thoil, maybe the W side, I don't know.
Yeah.
Although the nature of this arrangement is unknown, if a two-part division of Pictavia still persisted, then Talakan perhaps ruled north of the Mount. North of the Mount. Within a few years, both he and Druce were gone, and a single over kingship was restored by Eognan, a son of Oingus II, and Dalriada, and why do I say it like I've never said it before? And Dalriada, the vassal king Aed, son of Boanta, continued to accept Pictish overlordship and acknowledged Eonganan, this is terrible, as his new patron. The succession of Eonin, maybe, and Drust represented a break with the old matrilineal custom, because their fathers had also been kings. Father to son inheritance is a key feature, obviously, of patrilineal succession, but is often absent from matrilineal systems where a man is normally succeeded by the son of his sister or by his own womb brother. Father to son succession was rare among the Picts and did not appear until the late 8th century at a time when Gaelic customs were making inroads into many areas of society and culture. The elevation of Drust in Eognan,
Maybe
Big Eog.
Eganon?
Yeah, that I don't know. It's Irish, so it's some nonsense.
Gannon,
As kings, and it'll be David.
Some nonsense.
It'll be David. It'll be David or something like that.
Oh, what's the name? Oh, yeah, it's just John.
Literally.
It's the name's Siobhan. It's like Siobhen. I don't know.
It's Siobhan.
Siobhan. Just make it normal. Where's the V?
As kings indicates the influences of the Scots. The elevation of Drust in the Eognan as kings indicates that the influence of Scots, among whom patrilineal succession had always prevailed, was starting to gain momentum as the 9th century progressed.
839, guys.
Well,
the disaster of 839 is my paragraph. And because I write the script, I can say the important stuff. And I can butcher it with the languages too. In Dalriada, the fate of Ed, Bonatan's son, or great start already, was ultimately bound up with the fortunes of his liege lord, Eoganan. That must be how you say it, Eoganan. The two kings mustered a united host of Picts and Scots for a decisive showdown of the Vikings. You don't have to do this! In 839, this combined army encountered a force of Scandinavian marauders and made a stand against them. The ensuing clash of arms was one of the most decisive battles of this period, or maybe even, not actually, of the period. And although its precise location is not known and the outcome is not in doubt, it was nothing less than a catastrophic defeat for Eoganan and Ed, both whom were slain alongside a large number of their warriors. This was a dark hour for the Scots and the Picts alike. Not really the Scots, if you think about it long term. the disaster depriving the both peoples of their king, and this massive period of the Vikings doing what they want, and also a power vacuum too. It looked like it was over, guys. It looked like it was over, and extremely bleak. Never since the Romans did a force really do what they want in these kind of lands.
Yeah.
Knowing that the native leadership were broken, the Vikings did what they wanted. They plundered, raided, stole people, did things to women and children, which kidnapped children, and did things to people who didn't want consent. Basically, they wanted. These guys are like the definition of comically evil. And some people think and some people go, yeah, guys, I'm related to the Vikings. That's not a flex, bro. It's like, yeah, I'm related to the guys from Epsom Island. That's pretty much what you're saying. As you can tell, we're really salty here against the Vikings, and we hate them.
Yeah, this is history of the Salty podcast.
Eventually, they left, and with all their looting captives, they left behind a severely weakened kingdom, a shattered nobility, and a demoralised population.
Meanwhile, in Dalriada, a period of dynastic confusion followed the disaster of 839. Later tradition introduced a man called Alpin into the over-kingship of the Scots at this time. In medieval Scottish texts, he appears as a grandson of Ead Find, and thus of Kennel and Gilbrain descent. One portion of his story shifts him from Kintyre to Galloway, where he fights against indigenous Picts. In reality, he is little more than a shadowy figure whose origins are wrapped in mystery. He would be unremarkable had he not fathered Kenneth MacAlpine. One of the most important and controversial. Do you know what we could have done? We could have got this into like an Irish translator and tried to pronounce it properly, but I feel like that would be disingenuous. You know, I feel like it would take
too long.
Exactly.
And I'm not wasting any more minutes on Irish pronunciation. That may sound a bit harsh. No. Half of these words are either how you say it or different word, and we'll take a gamble here and see what. No one's gonna comment anything. No one's gonna see if you comment. If you said it wrong, we don't care. You've watched this far. Go over with it.
If you've got this far, you deserve like a medal.
No, well, if you comment this episode, you said his name wrong. See at this point. When you go, okay, you're not. That's it. That's the line crossed. This is 13 episodes in. He can't say it yet. That's the line crossed. But next episode, sorry, you go here.
Kenneth MacAlpine, who is obviously, and as already stated, is probably one of the most important and controversial figures in early Scottish history. With this, is basically the end of the Picts. Next episode, we'll get into the Kingdom of Alba and what happened to the Picts. But Kenneth MacAlpine is seen. Why do I keep calling him MacAlpine? MacAlpine is seen as the first king of Scotland. So that's it. It's over.
Yeah. There's 2 more episodes until we get to 1024, where the King Domhnall, or Donald, whatever his name is, great history podcast already, basically says, I'm King of Scotland and not King of the Picts and the Scots.
I wonder if, and excuse me for me interjecting here, that the Scots and the Picts, or I wonder how early the idea of like a Scotland comes up, because or like Scottish comes up, because I know the English or the Anglo-Saxons have like this concept of like English. I remember reading it appears as like it's prominent for like quite a while.
Well, it's probably this moment, because when the two kingdoms combine with King MacAlpine, we don't know if they had because obviously nowadays we've got like the benefit of this happened 1,000 years ago, like ages ago, where we can go that's King of Scotland, that's King of Pictavia, and it's a year difference. But back then, people would have still called whatever they called Pictland or Pictavia, whatever they wanted. But then, and it just over time, just when the languages changed, for me, it's when everyone started speaking the same language. That's when they started calling it the same thing, and the Scots probably called it Alba.
One thing they did, the Anglo-Saxons.
Yeah. So real. So, as all intents and purposes, even though Kenny McAlpin may have been half packed, from a Pict's mother, and we'll go into that next episode. That's it. The Picts are gone. The Picts are not a political identity anymore, really.
Yep.
Um,
It's it's history of the. No, it's just history of the.
yes, it's just history of the. um, but we've still got another a hundred and just under 200 years of history to go over, and it's 2 episodes.
Yep.
But yeah, if you've got any questions for the podcast, go to our Twitter and use the Google form that I've made. It's 5 questions are just pure drivel so far, so please can we get one? Can we get one question that it's actually like a question about Picts?
Yeah.
No, one of the questions was, can you remove Luke from the podcast? Can I imagine someone you know?
But potentially, you could say that.
But yeah, this has been. I personally thought we'd get the end of this podcast at the end of the year. I didn't think we'd that.
Yeah.
I didn't have a lot of hope in us getting like consistent each week, but we've, apart from 1 week, we've kind of locked in.
And really, ironically, it was this week, the last episode. I say the last episode, the last sort of prominent Pict episode is where we fumbled.
Yeah, it's where we were a bit late. It'll come out the Friday. I don't know what time it'll come out the Friday. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know what else to say really. It's just RIP the Picts.
I'm sort of like flabbergasted.
See when you finish, like it's like such a anticlimactic ending. It's just like one battle.
Yeah.
We know a little about it. It's just gonna. Yeah, it's just
a tragic way for them to go.
We're gonna start crying now.
Yeah, I'm gonna go cry.
Yep. So next episode is how many cans can we drink until we
forget
about
how many cans can we drink? Talk about what if with Angus.
Yeah, what if Angus?
Like imagine Angus was immortal.
Some man. But yeah, the podcast it's on the closing era of the podcast was the closing era 5 episodes ago. But Angus was the Justinian of the Picts. But it was a much faster decline.
Although what I would say, Angus is the Justinian of the Picts, but like actually good.
Yeah, like we don't know Angus's economic policy, but from what we can tell, he made a lot of money off the Scots, so pretty good probably.
Yeah.
Don't know how to say really. There's still. I'd guess there's 3 planned episodes left. 2 in Alban.
Yeah.
2 in Alaba. 1 question episode. And I'm sure we might do.
We'll think of something.
I mean, the question we got given about how do the Picts live, we can put that in the questions episode as well.
Yep.
So it might just be 3 episodes left. Yep. And more, but there'll be no more hour-long podcast episodes. So
no,
sad for you guys. There's not enough content to drag out, and we're not continuing after Scotland becomes a thing because there's a Kingdom of Scotland podcast out now.
Yeah.
They cover a lot of the Picts and Caledonians, but just skip that stuff, right? No offense to the guy, just skip that stuff and get straight to the after this. I feel that's probably the best way to go about it because we do more detail than he does about the Picts and Scott, and because he covers the Picts and Caledonians in 2 episodes, which to be fair,
which is fair enough, I suppose.
Yeah, like we could have done probably that. We could have probably done that 2 episodes.
Yeah, but we love you guys so much that we felt we had to do.
Yeah, this is like a alcohol think tank podcast. What if we just did a podcast on the Picts? I mean, there's really niche people that only like in Scotland's even more niche. Like it's really niche in Scotland, like the Picts.
Yeah, like exactly.
Apart from like we bet the Romans dog. Who didn't? That was the Caledonians dog.
Yeah, I suppose how bad that is.
Yeah, So the one person who actually didn't know about the Picts before this podcast and listened to it, that's what the pick is. That one guy in South Africa from Northern Cape. We know who you are. So it's not doxing because we didn't say his name or anything, did we not? It's a lot of weird countries people watch this. There's Japan, South Africa.
Yeah, it's very widespread.
Ireland, I think that's kind of weird for the Picts. Not really, to speak because careful with it. They're in same culturally in terms of like entertainment wise. If you get what I mean, like British, Irish, English speaking people from Europe are the same kind of medieval history kind of culture kind of thing. So obviously the Picts are going to appeal to maybe someone at least one person in Ireland, mainly the North, because that's why a lot of the Dowridens and Picts go hand in hand.
Aye.
But yeah, I'm trying not to say anything wrong and get my car blew up.
Yeah. So, well, I suppose that draws this episode to a sort of anticlimactic end.
We're trying to drag out. If we can't now,
Yeah.
if we keep going.
Like we're going through withdrawals.
Yeah. I'm going to be really sad this podcast ends in 3 days. Not 3 days, in 3 episodes. But yeah, that'll mean this podcast will be 16 episodes long. We could try and make it 20 episodes, but what's the point? I start university soon, and this has been like a really well timed in terms of like it's going to end right when I start uni.
Aye.
But yeah, thank you all for watching the Pass of the Picts podcast. If you want to stop watching now, I'd understand it because who cares about the Scots?
Yep.
Do you have anything else to say? Look.
No, just thanks for listening to our nonsense.
Yeah, and we're going to get a pint at the pub. We'll see you later. See you later.
I'll see you later.
I'm dogging work and we're going straight to the pub.
Yep.
Right, bye everyone.
Bye.